Good morning. Good morning. I say good morning, and it's crickets.
Good morning.
I know it's almost afternoon for some of you out there. Welcome, Selena, Diane, Amy, Scott, Jill, Felix, Joseph. Great seeing you guys this morning. Looking forward to an incredible call today. We're going to give one more minute to the top of the hour to get started on time and jump right in. And for those of you that have been on calls with me before, you know I love to see your faces. I don't care if the tea is brushed or it's yesterday's shirt or what color shorts you might have on underneath there. It's all good. We like the live interaction. So regardless of where you're at, we'd love for you to come on video and commit to being fully present and engaged over our time together this morning. I believe if you choose to do that, you'll find incredible value that you can take out today into your business and into your life. So we have found ourselves at the top of the hour, which means we are going to jump right in. First and foremost, I want to welcome everyone to this call, give you a little bit of history on it. It started, oh my goodness, a couple of years ago at the request of a leader in our organization named Rosie Rodriguez. She said, hey, I really feel like there needs to be a place where we can have a collaborative conversation and around building and bringing people together to do that. So that's how that call started out. And what it is morphed into today as we relaunch it with a new context and a new cadence is this. We are entering a time that I fully believe will be the next 24 to 36 months are the sweet spot based on where we're headed into. And so when you know that you're positioned in front of a sweet spot, you change strategy and execution to be able to capitalize on it in a different way. And so as we get started this morning to share the context really of what this is going to be moving forward, the strategy behind it and why, here's what we're really looking at is this. This call is now designed to be a bi-monthly call, meaning the first and third Tuesdays of every month at 9 a.m. Why? Because over the next 2 weeks, you're going to go out and you're going to engage and you're going to learn and you're going to be, look at this, Rick Jiha. You're going to be learning and doing things and coming back to this call. However, we're also going to integrate in advance, planned in advance, voices of experience from the field to learn and collaborate from. And those will be different on each call. So there'll be a huge learning and sharing that goes on. In the beginning, some people got on this call and was like, well, you know, if I'm a beginner and I'm looking for support or to be part of a larger conversation, then that's what I would get on.
Turn on Sunny and share.
That this call is really for leaders of leaders. And we're going to be talking high level. We're going to be executing high level and everything else will trickle down. There are no bad questions. So we'll still have a forum for creating an agenda to be able to grab those things. But the idea with a bi-monthly cadence is that as an organization within Empire Builders Pro, close to 3,000 agents that we have in our organization, all of those agents are invited to plug in here on the first and third Tuesdays. And the vision with this call is that if you are somebody that is committed to capturing growth in this next window over the next 24 to 36 months, then on weeks 2 and weeks 4, that you are having your own call with your own leaders, with your generals, so that there is a consistent weekly communication and cadence, support, strategy, and execution. So the reason why we've got it set up this way is twofold. Number one, to bring everyone together into a larger conversation so that we continue to be belly to belly and learn from each other and rub shoulders. And the second layer of that is that you, as the leader of your organization on weeks 2 and 4, have the option to bring your leaders together specific to your group to keep this conversation alive and to keep it going with whatever the strategies and support are that are going to be very personal to you based on your leadership style, your execution. And so that is the context that we're setting for this call moving forward. And for those of you that may or may not be on the Empire Builders Pro Facebook group, Please join that group. We create an event that is a reminder event. Happens in that group where people can confirm, ask questions, throw agenda items prior to that call so that we're able to go there. So we'll be communicating through that group. And for some of you that I have more direct communication with, as in today, receive text reminders. Here's Rick.
Can I interrupt? There's a lady named Delia Martinez that's trying to get on.
Yeah, empirebuilderspro.live.
Oh, Leo just texted it to her. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
All right. Thank you, Rick, from the other part of the house. He seemed to have made his way over here. Okay, so that is the context for the call moving forward and how it will be and why it will be. The second piece of this is I invite you to put a blocked time in your calendar. So it's not a matter of, am I going to jump on the call? Am I not going to jump on the call? That it becomes a cadence that is part of your regular routine. And it's why we have it at the same time and on the same day. When we don't have to think about things and we know things that happen in a cadence, it supports the habits in being created. And so the vision is this becomes a habitual part of your growth as we continue to move forward. The third piece is this. As is in the past, there are real things that are going on for you because you're all at different stages in growth and execution. And the larger you grow, the more complex the problems become. I'm just going to say that right now. The larger you grow, the more complex the problems become. Why is that? Because we are in a people business and people can be quite complex sometimes. And so the more people you bring into an organization, particularly leaders with vision, the more complex it can become. And so there is, in those times and those complexities, as those things happen, it's even more important to come together as part of a larger collective conversation to talk about the things that are difficult, to really brainstorm and hear different perspectives. Because as we continue to grow, which is what is happening and what we are doing, those things, when they are not discussed and they get pushed under the rug or they don't get addressed, they become toxic things that can erode the minds and the hearts of people. And when that becomes present in any organization, it is inevitable the direction that things will go. And this larger conversation is to stay in conversation, to stay connected, to receive the value that you'll receive from being on this call, and also to contribute, because everyone has something to contribute. So contribution will look different depending on the weeks and the calls and maybe what's going on. The goal is really to maximize engagement. All right, any questions about the context of what this call now is moving forward, the cadence of the call, or any structure and strategy and execution pieces on that before we move on? No. Okay, cool. All right. We have the jump off mute or forever hold your peace. No, just kidding. If there's something that important, put it in the chat and we'll come back to it. Okay, so as we jump into today's topic, we have 3 people specifically lined up that we're going to hear from. And these 3 people I have specifically lined up for a very good reason as it relates to the topic that we're going to start today's call on. Again, if there's any questions that come up, please put them in the chat and we'll make sure to address those throughout the course of the conversation today. What we're going to talk about today, number 1, is the mindset, and number 2, some strategy and execution as it relates to inviting. Specifically, the Dallas event is what we're talking about right now in this moment. However, you can take these principles into anything. So I want you to write this down on your piece of paper for a moment. Take a pen and paper. I want you to write this down. He or she who is most certain wins. He or she who is most certain wins. And here's the next thing I want you to write down, and it's a question. And Selena, please put this question in the chat. Does my level of certainty exceed their level of uncertainty? Does my level of certainty exceed their level of uncertainty? And I want to start the conversation off with this and really create a meaning and purposeful dialogue around it. In this space of mindset that he or she who is most certain wins, we know that every conversation that we're going into, someone is enrolling and someone is being enrolled. And when you are having conversations with people about coming to EXP, clearly you would think that you're the one that's enrolling, but not necessarily, because sometimes you are being enrolled into the story, the limited thinking, the excuse, the justification, or the rationalization of the person that you are speaking with. And in those times, who's actually being enrolled? You are. So let me tell you specifically give you some examples of what I mean by this. We have a campaign going on right now for Rick and myself. It includes Selena. We have a commitment around attendees going to Dallas. And so we've been inviting. And I noticed, on one of the invitations that I had a question around, I was making outbound calls literally to do the inviting, knowing that an email is not going to get it done. A text is not going to get it done. It's a belly to belly, voice to voice conversation. And so in one of those, I picked up the phone and just said, hey, I'm reaching out because I want to know what time you're landing in Dallas and what day so that I can make sure that we get some one-on-one time together. That was my invite. It wasn't, are you going? It wasn't, have you gotten your tickets yet? It was, what time are you landing so that we can make sure to get some one-on-one time together? Now, in one instance, the person just said, I'm not going. And it was so direct and so don't challenge me, I'm not going. And so I took into consideration what was, what I knew of this person, what my experience was. And I immediately changed the topic and I said, okay, cool. Tell me about you and what's happened since we connected last. How's things going? Family, business. And what I decided in that moment is that was not a person I wanted to invest my energy in because I wanted something more for them than they want for themselves. And I am not going to waste my energy in that pursuit because I have a personal experience of this person, right? In another instance, it was a leader who is, definitely a leader, sees themselves as a leader. And in this instance, I texted because I was knew that this person for sure was going. I texted the same question. Hey, what day do you land? And what time do you get in so that we can make sure to get some one-on-one time together? And the response I got back, much to my surprise, was, oh, I'm not going unless so-and-so comes with me. I'm not going unless so-and-so decides to come with me. And so I had a very direct response to that, which was after 15 years of building an organization around the world, nobody, period, will follow you or go unless your tickets are booked, your flights are booked, your rooms are booked, and you are going. And the ticket prices at the price they're at are going to sell out. So how much longer do you want to wait to pay the higher price? That was another invitation, right? These invitations look very different. On another conversation, it was a check-in. It was someone I haven't talked to an organization in a while that has a lot of life going on that happens to be getting married a few weeks after Dallas. So in the mind of that person, it could be, very easily oh my goodness, I'm getting married. I'm focused on the wedding. It's a special time of life, right? I don't care. I'm picking up the phone with the clarity and the certainty that this is somebody that this is going to be a game changer event for. So we have the conversation. Catching up, what's happening? Oh my goodness, the wedding, this, that. Hey, what day are you getting into Dallas? What's Dallas? Somehow all of the email communication and text communication had gone by the wayside. And then we had the I'm getting married next month coming up. Cool. Tell me, just very simply, over the next 12 months plus, is your commitment to grow personally and professionally? And this person said yes. And my next question was, are you open to a different perspective and a different conversation? And this person said yes. And so we had the conversation and it was, look, this is the event of the year. And the people that are attending this event are people that are the best of the best, the top of their game, or looking to be those people because that's who they're putting themselves in community with. There is something that will never be translated on a Zoom, and it will never be translated into conversation that you only will get by being physically there. And based on the fact that you want to grow personally and professionally over the course of this next year, what is there for you to rearrange to make that happen, to support what you say that you want? Well, we're going to have to look at things and budget. Great. Do you see the value in doing that? Yes, right? Last example. Someone in our organization was inviting someone else and they came back with, hey, I am not interested in EXP. I am not open to EXP. I will not ever be coming to EXP. Therefore, I do not need to attend an EXP event. And so they reached out to me and we gave some coaching, which was like, tell me about this person. Oh, well, you know, they've written this book, you know, about this in the real estate industry and they've been around it for years. Okay, great. So here's the communication to go back to that person. Based on the fact that you're in the industry and you're clearly growing a thriving enterprise, what in the world would have you not attend an event where people that are more enthused about their careers and businesses and in hyper growth are going to be there, that you have the ability to network with and cross-pollinate as it relates to your business? Like, in what circumstance would that not support what you're creating? Are you open to a conversation? And that person got on a three-way call and is now booked and attending the event. All of these examples are certainty and clarity. He or she who is most certain wins. Does your level of certainty, of clarity, exceed anyone else's uncertainty? There are people who may uncomfortably feel like, hey, you know, I just want to check in and see if you're going. And that is the invitation. We're going. We hope you join us. Are you join? We, you know, we're going to have some great things going on. We'd love for you to join us. No, it's not going to work in my schedule. Oh, okay. Well, how about October for EXPCon? That is not certainty. That is not clarity. There's someone else on this call that I know that's been talking to someone who said they've been traveling so much this summer that they weren't going to be taking any more trips until the fall. Okay, that's very interesting. Let's have a big picture conversation. What is it that you're actually looking to create? Oh, a business that scales and grows outside of your local area. Interesting. And what are you looking to do? You're looking to grow and capture market share in a shifting market. Okay, interesting. And you've been researching and exploring the platform of EXP and what's available here. And because you've been traveling and busy up until now, you are going to put yourself in a position of missing how you can grow, thrive, and flourish and connect those dots together because you don't want to travel till the fall. Really? Doesn't sound like you. Again, when our certainty exceeds someone else's level of uncertainty, we become the people that are willing to take a stand, to draw a line in the sand. Hey, listen, I know that for the most of the conversations that I get in, my certainty and my vision is bigger than the person who I'm speaking to on the other end of the call. And for me to be too big and blow them out and too bold, I will blow them out. However, what can I do? I can meet them where they're at and I can stay 1 to 2 steps ahead of them and position what I know that they want and speak into them a vision and a conversation that they can walk into. Sometimes that's from fear of missing out, and other times that's from fueling and growing a vision and making it clearer and brighter for them individually. So as we, evolve this conversation on clarity, on certainty, on posture, on leading by example, on, a no is not a no unless it is somebody that, for me, I decide it is going to bring my energy down to engage with that person and their level of closed negative thinking mindset, and peace out in those conversations. Does that mean I don't care about that person? Absolutely not. However, I am committed to being around people that are committed to learning, to growing, to changing, and to thriving. right? And if someone's not committed to those things, yes, I still care about them as a person. I will still check in, but I will not allow my energy to come down by intermixing in an energy that I know is going to take me down with me attempting to enroll and convince someone to thinking differently that is so positioned in not thinking differently, which is unusual. There's, those people are fewer and further between, but it is knowing where and how to manage the energy to do that. Okay, we're going to quickly transition because I know we're up against a little bit of a time piece for one of the speakers that we're going to hear from today. The 3 speakers that we have lined up today are going to speak very specifically on different pieces around this theme and this topic that we've opened up for today. The first one is someone that I'm sure that you all know and love, depending on how well you've gotten to know her. And if you don't, you just need to spend some more time getting to know her. There you go. I used the need word. Nobody needs to do anything. However, should you choose to, it will be amazing. And this person is Rosie Rodriguez. For those of you that may just be meeting her for the first time, she's been with EXP close to 4 years. She has an organization of over 3,000 agents that have been built, and she's been in the real estate industry. She was part owner of a real estate office. She's performed at a very high level on the mortgage side. She's got tons of investments. She is very passionate about helping and being a positive force and creating an impact in people's lives. And the reason why we want to hear from Rosie today is that, Rosie didn't start off with an organization of 3,000 agents. She started off with an organization of none. Just like every single other person on this call starts off with an organization of none. Yet there was some growth that happened in the beginning, Rosie, and we're going to take a snapshot from the different people that we're hearing speak today. And what I'd really love to hear from you, and because I know that you have a lot of wisdom to share on this, is when there was none and you were just starting and you had the 1 or you had the 2 that caught the vision and were hungry, what is it that you were doing with them every day? How did you use events and create events? And what were the strategies that built the fire from the bottom up so that people that are maybe newer, have smaller organizations, or maybe even are just getting started can learn by your example in that time?
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Casey, for the awesome intro. Hey, everybody. So I will tell you that yeah, absolutely. I started with none, and my big crazy goal was like, one day I'm going to have 100 people in my organization, maybe 4 or 5 years from now, and that's going to be totally cool and awesome. Because I looked at it as the company has built everything else. They've got brokers, they've got compliance, they've got training, they've got technology, marketing. They have everything. All I have to do is do what I love, which is kind of connect and build a community, which I'm all about. And so how this started was, interestingly enough, my very first person that I talked to used to be a team leader years before, and they got really excited about it. And I started talking to just a couple of friends and family, and I said, hey, let's have dinner, let's catch up. And literally, I probably had 5 people, 3 of them were family and 2 of them were not, in maybe a couple months. And that was it. It was nothing aggressive, nothing crazy. It was just like, hey, you're not using your license, come and put it over here. This is to family. And then, just a couple of conversations. It seemed really simple and easy. And moving on from that, once I started, there's a couple of people that caught the vision. I was excited. I was excited because they were excited, right? I mean, I was excited to begin with, but kind of seeing their fire was just like, man, I really see how awesome this can work in terms of a partnership. And so one of the things I talk about a lot is when you bring someone on board, they're not like a number. That's one of the reasons I left the previous company I was at, because everything seemed like a number. It was like, this is a person that I get to work with. It's an opportunity to build with this person. And so some of the first things that I did was just really pour in and pour in and pour in and pour in to my people, because, it's a model that's built for that. Right. And as it pertains to, well, what about events and things like that? Well, my partners were not in a position to really be very abundant with the events and whatnot. So it's just like, okay, well, I'm building a business here. And so I'm going to go ahead and sponsor this thing, which is going to cost me $500 or whatnot. And it's not something that all of you guys have to do. There's a smarter way of doing it. I didn't do it the smart way. The smart way is just talk to your, vendor partners, right? Your mortgage, your title, your escrow people, and say, hey, I want to put a little, lunch and learn together, or I want to, put together a training, and then, they'll bring the sandwiches and the sodas and all that stuff. So I started following what Brent talks to us about all the time, which is put together events, and kind of started on that journey. And then when the bigger events were here, the big events, the Cabo and the Dallas and, the Vegas, like all those big things, Brent talks about how you have to, what he did. And what he did is that he just purchased like 20 tickets, and then he'd fill them up, right? He's like, I don't know who's coming, but I'm gonna fill these tickets. And so I have never purchased 20 tickets myself, but I did say, okay, great, I'm gonna buy like, 2 tickets. Like the first year, I'm gonna buy 2 tickets and I'm gonna bring 2 people with me. And now I'm buying like 10 at a time. And I'm like, I don't know who's gonna fill them, but I'm gonna invest in like 10 tickets. And then I would make reservations. Now the reservation at the hotel is kind of a scary thing, because you're like, ooh, hotel room is like $250 a night-ish or so. And then I saw what some of the big guys were doing. Like they would make the reservation because there usually is about a week ahead, week leeway of cancellation. It's like, okay, well, if I can't fill the room, if I can't fill the tickets, I can always cancel. I wasn't going to be on the hook for, $500 or $700 or whatever it was. So then I would go and I would make reservations at the hotels. And then I also knew that sometimes some of the people on my team were kind of last minute, imagine that. And so then I would just reach out to them like, well, I laugh because Leo's one of them. They're like, Leo, how many rooms do you need? How many tickets do you need? And then reach out to Joseph and, everybody else, because I was trying to make sure, one, that I had enough room and space for the people that I wanted to invite. And then second, that, the people that were bringing people, that they had, enough, or they had some availability, right? So they wouldn't have to go crazy scrambling if they had a very important guest that they wanted to come attend. So that's a strategy around getting people engaged and involved, because, when what Casey is saying, when you are at an event, my very, very first event was in Cabo with Brent Gove. And I wasn't going to go. I was actually convinced to go. I was like, just bring the notes back and whatnot. But I did attend, and it was at that event that I heard the stories. It wasn't the people that were speaking. It was the people in the hall. It was the people next to me in the chair. It was all those conversations. I mean, I remember talking to, I don't know, probably easily half a dozen, maybe a dozen people, and they were so excited. And I was asking them, like, okay, so tell me really, how long have you been here? And tell me about, have you built a team? Have you built a group? Or, all those things. And some people would tell me yes, and my group is like, I'm making so much, $5,000 a month, $3,000. I was like, what? You're really, really, really making $3,000 a month? Like, are you crazy? Or $1,000 or whatever. It's something that was completely out of my, I didn't even expect that. I mean, I came because of the stock. But when I started hearing the stories and meeting the people, that's when this became very, very real. I was like, oh my gosh, like this, this little old lady right here, she's making an extra $1,200 a month. I was like, man, I've never made $1,200 on like rev share. And then everybody's really nice. And you know what? I like the vibe here. Everybody's happy. And like, I want to be a part of this environment. I want to be part of this community. And so I think the events are super important. I think you have to put your business hat on and realize that you are running a business, right? If you opened up a restaurant, if you opened up a hair salon, any type of business that you would begin, would require an upfront investment. The really great thing is that here they cover everything else for you. All you got to do is, bring the people, right? We're kind of like Jesus, we're going to come save the people, bring the people.
So Rosie, I know you have a hard stop at the bottom of the hour, and I want to make sure and get one more thing out of you while we have you. So you've said a couple of really important things. As a brand new person, instead of just like, oh, you started where you could start, which was local events, getting sponsors, doing things, and then working into larger events, and then skin in the game, purchasing tickets, arranging hotels as your vision got bigger and clearer and your commitment level got bigger and clearer. What I would love for you to comment on is if you think back to like your first year as you were beginning and getting traction and you had people that wanted to grow and build, were you talking weekly, daily, multiple times a day? Like talk about the belly to belly actual build piece of it.
Oh yeah. That's a big one. And I guess I take it for granted because I've just been doing it for 4+ years. So the very first person I brought on, was David Golden. And I was in an accountability relationship with him prior to EXP. So we just continued that on. We're like, well, let's just kind of keep doing this. So I was literally on a call with him every day at 9 o'clock. We'd alternate call weeks or responsibilities, initiating the call. And if we would miss the call, it would be $100 penalty. So it was like serious accountability on a daily basis. Well, that accountability led to, hey, okay, what are we doing? Hey, this event is coming up. Hey, I'm talking to so-and-so. And strategizing and brainstorming. So it became kind of a business meeting. It didn't feel like it, never has felt like it, but the amount of communication that you have with your people is super critical. And it's going to be different. When another, my Leo here, he caught the vision and he got excited. And then I was like, okay, well, that worked over here. Let me try to do it over here. And he's a little bit more like, woo, right? He's like, very focused on things, but it was just more like, okay, I had to chase him and like, hey, Leo, we tried accountability. No, that didn't work. We tried this, we tried that. So then it was just like constantly reaching out and constantly, hey, how are you doing? Hey, you want to go hiking? Hey, let's do this. Hey, let's do that. So I decided that I wanted to have a relationship with him. You have to decide that if you have somebody who you're like, man, I catch their vibe. I love being around them. You're excited about them. You're excited for them. You're excited to build with them. Then it is up to you to develop that relationship and that cadence, that consistency with that person. If you can set something up 1, 2, 3, 4 times a week, awesome. There's some people that want that, some people that don't. They're really busy with their business. They're building their real estate production, whatever it is. And it might just be once a week or once a month, whatever it is. But it has to be you who initiates and you who creates that relationship and you who is, is committed. Like you're saying, he who is committed, most committed wins. Right. And so I would say I was definitely committed. More than anything, I was committed to being in relationship with these people. And so whatever was going to come with that was going to come with that. But I was committed to like, hey, this is something that's possible. I love being around this person. I want to build with them. And like, I just, it was very, very easy. So if you feel that way about someone, if you catch that vibe, then connect with them, build with them. They're your people. They're your tribe. They need you as much as you need them. And what you guys can co-create is 3,000 agents later, right? So
love that. Rosie, thank you so much for being here, for being willing to contribute. Like you always show up. I can depend on you. Like I know you will always show up and you always show up with a great attitude and a desire to make an impact. And I really appreciate that about you. So thank you for sharing your wisdom and experience for the benefit of everyone that's on today. All right. And we are going to keep
I'm gonna say goodbye, but I do want to say, guys, these calls are invaluable, and so just make sure that you're tuning in. Now we're doing them twice a month, and so it's going to be incredible. There's something that someone is going to say. It might be a new agent, it might be an experienced agent, it might be Casey. Someone is going to say something that's going to be like, "Oh, here's a nugget. Here's a nugget." So just want to encourage you to put this in your calendar as a regular meeting, and I will see you guys next time.
All right, thank you. Okay, so we are going to continue moving on, and there's some themes that are running through the conversation. He or she who is most certain wins. Does my level of certainty exceed their level of uncertainty? Rosie was clearly committed to developing a relationship with Leo. I didn't realize she was hounding you that much to go hiking, Leo. However, that would be an example of her being very committed and willing to do whatever it took, keep reaching out until she got the yes. Keep reaching out until she got the yes. All right. And so speaking of that, we're going to roll right into the next layer of this conversation with Leo Robles. Some of you may already know him. Others of you may be meeting him for the first time. We call him Leo the Lion. You'll see the lion behind him on the screen last night over a little bit of watermelon and celebration at the end of the day. On FaceTime yesterday, we were celebrating some wins, and I was maybe suggesting, well, we're going to keep it a lion for right now. However, celebrating wins at the end of the day about great things happening in the organization is so fun to do with your leaders as things are growing. It puts that gas on the fire to connect and be excited. And we had the opportunity to do that last night. I did not know Leo before EXP. Leo came to EXP through Rosie. And for those of you that might be meeting him for the first time, he's been with us. Leo, how many years has it been now?
3 years, like 8 months, like almost 4 years now. Yeah.
Almost 4 years now. And he is knocking the door on 1,300 agents. Here's what I will say about Leo as we enter into the conversation with him is that Leo has said the same thing to me every time from the day that I've met him. And he has told me where he's going and what he is committed to and what he feels about it. From the perspective of the leader, that is one of the key things that great leaders do. They communicate to people where they're going. They tell everyone around them where they are going and what they are doing and how they feel about it. And, you know, a lot of people talk and never deliver because it feels good to talk and say we're going to do great things. The delivery piece is where it becomes very challenging, particularly the larger the vision, right? Because the larger the vision, the more stuff that needs to happen or that must happen in order for the delivery to happen. And consistently from day one, Leo has done those three things and he's backed it up with action. There's not an event that I've been at that Leo was not there. There's not an event that I've been at that Leo was not there with existing people from his organization. And there is not an event that I've been at where Leo was not there with brand new people that were accompanying him for the first time. And so he is somebody who walks the talk. Like Leo doesn't even need to talk. You could follow him around, do what he does, and go and replicate and build an organization like the one that he is in the process of building. And so Leo, I want to thank you, for who you are, for what you bring to our community. And as we jump into this conversation today, I know there are some very specific things that you do in strategy and in execution to getting your own new personal people to events. And I would love for you to talk about some of what those specifics are around what's worked for you, areas where there may have been breakdowns too, like things that really didn't work that you've learned along the way for the value of everyone today.
All right. Well, cool. Thank you so much, Casey, for the opportunity. Thank you for your leadership. And thank you all of you that are here listening, that are developing yourselves, that are committed to, growth, right? You guys are all here because you guys are committed to growth. So I just want to acknowledge you all for being here. And I would say that the first thing I'm going to say right out the gate is to have an amazing relationship with failure. That's going to be one of the first things that I'm going to say. Have an amazing relationship with failure, because this is going to, you're going to be in domains and in situations and conversations where you're going to fail a lot. You're going to say the wrong things. And one thing that Brent said that always stuck in my brain is that you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. Right. So even though you may fail, right, you're going to find people that you want to be in business with. And when you find those individuals, I mean, there's nothing you can say that, you could mess it up. I mean, well, maybe there is a couple of things. I don't want to say anything, right? But there might be some things, right? But you can't say the wrong thing to the right person, right? I think that one of the things I like, that's where I want to start off, because this journey for me, I mean, I've been committed to it. I've been excited about it. And one of the first thing that I did was basically match the greatest avatar that I saw in the company, which is Brent Gove, right? Brent Gove has amazing energy. He's like, talking, you see the guy, I mean, it's just always energy, always attracting, always like talking, always enrolling people. And I said, you know what? The first thing I'm going to do is that I got to match that guy's energy. Right. That's what I did. Is like, I don't have the results. Right. I started off with only 4 people in my group. Right. I left Keller Williams as a team leader, came over to EXP with 4 people. And even at that moment in time, I knew that this was going to happen because I was sold myself first. Right. I was convinced of this vision for me. Right. So as you're starting off, wherever you're at in your journey, I will tell you that that's another big key, that you have to be 100% like embodied that this is the greatest thing you've ever seen. And the way that happens is by, becoming obsessed about learning about the company. That's one of the things that I did. I watched like the model explained probably like 200 times plus, right? So I would encourage you guys, if you guys want to get obsessed and learn the model, watch that, right? Watch Brent Gove do it. The Rob Flick wealth chart. I watched that thing hundreds of times, right? And if you guys don't have a wealth chart, that's one of the things that I tell everybody that wants to build a massive organization. If you're not watching the wealth chart video, which is about 1 hour and 20 minutes with Rob Flick, and you're not filling out your wealth chart, that is literally step number one. If you're not doing that one thing, then step number 2 doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. Like, that's one of the things that I did right away. And Brent told me the same thing. Rob Flick told me the same thing. He's like, I don't talk to nobody. And somebody typed it in the chat. I'll make sure to drop it and send it out. And I'm sure Casey has it. We all have the wealth chart, so we'll make sure to send that out. But the wealth chart, it was basically about filling out names of people that I wanted to be in business with. Basically, right? The top 25 people I wanted to be in business with. So the most elementary thing I'm going to tell you to do is make your list, right? Everybody probably has told you that already, but you got to make a list. That's the most basic, right? I started to make my top 100 list. And then Brent told me, he's like, if you can make 100, go to 200. If you can go to 200, go to 300. So I just added a bunch of people on an Excel document. I did it on Google Docs, and I just added every single person that I knew that I wanted to be in business with. That was the first step that I did. And I started reaching out, and I failed a lot at reaching out people in the beginning. I was so crazy, like excited about this thing, that I vomited EXP on people. I did that. I made all of those mistakes. I said it very badly. I didn't listen. I was like, dude, are you kidding me? This is the best thing ever. You got stock, you got revenue share. Like, what are you doing? Like, do you have a brain? Like, what are you thinking, right? Like, I did it wrong. And I also got myself to the point where I'm like, you know what? I'm very, Rosie mentioned this. I'm very hard-headed, right? I'm like, I'm gonna do it my way. Brent told me, hey, don't explain the model. Don't explain the model. And I got into explaining the model in the beginning too. That was another, failure that I did. Like, I failed at that. I explained it really well. I had a bunch of energy, right? I mastered that, but I found myself presenting EXP over and over and over for like the first couple of months. And then I got to the point where I finally listened to what Brent said. And it was at one of the events. It was at one of the events that we went to, right? And he said, he just said, like, don't reinvent the wheel. Like, there's a process. Jay Kender say this on stage as well. Don't invent the process. There's a process that works and there's a process that doesn't. Explaining the model doesn't work, right? And then it finally clicked in my brain, it's about duplication, because the EXP, the exponential growth, it's about duplication, right? So what I was doing, I was conveying to my future partners that they were going to have to memorize the presentation, that they were going to have to match my energy, and that they were going to have to present EXP like 10 times a day. That's what I was conveying to everybody. And obviously, if we're in real estate, we're already like up to here with like stuff that we got to do, right? And we're already busy with listing appointments, buyer appointments. So I was giving people the impression that they had to do that. And it wasn't up until that clicked in my brain. I'm like, okay, the duplication. I gotta follow this step. Go ahead, Casey. You got something to say?
Yeah, I have a question for you because you have so many nuggets. I love your creating a great relationship with failure. Amazing, right? And enthusiasm is great. Figuring whose energy did you want to match in that, right? And who do you want to grow and build to create results like they've created based on their energy? I know this is out of left field and it just came to me, and it's definitely a more advanced question. However, because you have experience, I'm going to take us to a really dark place. Are you okay with that?
Sure. Let's do it.
We're coming up on an event.
Woo!
And I know, because I have the relationship I have with you, that you've brought people that were not with EXP to events. That somehow started getting prospected by other people at the event.
Yeah.
That were not part of your organization. Now, I know that is not something that you would do, and that is not something that is a cultural match for anyone associated with empirebuilders.pro, but not everyone has the same culture that we have. So when you think about going to Dallas and taking your personal new prospects there, now that more and more people are knowing about EXP, and sometimes they'll be like, well, that was my prospect, really? you were like meeting with them? Yeah, like when? Oh, 3 years ago. Oh, that's interesting because nobody owns prospects and I've been meeting with them every week and bringing them to events and in conversations, right? But
Right.
these kind of things like happen. As a leader, what are the strategies that you recommend for everyone on this call that when you're taking your personal prospect to events that you keep the line tight, have a strategy going into that event or a strategy coming out of that event? I would really like for you to share what your experience has been there.
Cool. Well, my strategy is this. I think the relationships always win, right? Like relationships, deep relationships always win. And that's, I've done an excellent job of like, you know, it was obviously that kind of situation happened, and that situation is not isolated just in that event. I mean, it's happened when I'm just prospecting people and somebody ends up calling them and they offer them some shiny object, and then they go with that shiny object and they don't realize that, you know, somebody's been prospecting them for a couple years, and then they're like, oh my God, they have this system, and they're going to join with that person, right? That's definitely happened. But the one thing is that I always do as a leader, I always take full responsibility for everything. I always take full responsibility for everything, right? Like that gives me power. Right? If I blame the company, if I blame the culture, if I blame other people and I blame somebody else, I automatically gave my power to that person or that situation, and I'm not willing to do that. I take full responsibility for everything. Yes, it hurts. Yes, it sucks. Yes, it doesn't feel good sometimes, but I take full responsibility for everything. And then one of the things that I've done is that I've actually reflected, like, where did I miss this? And it always comes back. It always comes back. If somebody ended up, you know, going with someone else, I'm like, oh, you know what I didn't invest enough in the relationship, or I didn't follow up enough. And that's one of my biggest hacks, by the way. Like, I follow up relentlessly. Like, if you're on my list and you're on my radar, I will not stop following up. Like, no matter what. I've literally had people that have joined in the last 30 days that have been with this company that was an entire brokerage, an independent here in the city of Downey in Los Angeles. 4 years I've been prospecting this guy, 4 years. And I got a bunch of messages that were just unread, direct messages on Facebook, direct message on Instagram, unread, missed calls. But I've left some awesome voicemails. I memorized their voicemails, all of that stuff. But I kept following up. I kept inviting them. I kept bringing them value. So follow up. If you guys want to build a massive organization and make sure that your prospects stick with you, make sure you follow up. Make sure you stay in relationship with them. Make sure you invest in the relationship, right? Rosie was saying that stuff. She had to hound me down because when I came over to EXP, I had left the leadership position as a team leader. I had a base of $100,000, and I had my sales team that I had neglected because I was on the team leader position. So I had to come to EXP and I had to rebuild my team from the ground up. And at the same time, I had to build now with this vision with EXP. This vision with EXP got me, and I was excited about it. But at the same time, I need to pay my bills. I had to do what I had to do, right? But she was constantly hounding me down like, Leo, hey, where are you going to go to the event? Hey, are you going to do this? Hey, are you going to do this? So she constantly kept just reeling me back. So that was one of the things that she did at a very, very high level. So one of the things that I wrote before we had this conversation was that your organization is only going to grow to the degree of your personal development. That's one of the nuggets I'll give you, right? If you find yourself at a certain level, like, right, you're just starting off or you're growing and you're kind of hitting a ceiling, it's connected to your personal development. And what I mean by that is that you're getting in your own way. And you're also getting in the way of the people that you lead. Because your job as a leader is to continuously rise and rise and rise and rise and rise and rise. Because you better believe it, I got some big leaders on my team, right? There are two of them right here. I can see them right here, Joseph and Will. Boom, like these guys are right here, right? These guys are hungry. These guys are like lions, just like me, right? They're hungry. So I got to continuously evolve and continuously grow. So that's one of the things that I'll say is like personal development. I'm in a course right now, a year-long course with a program called Landmark. It's called the Partnership Exploration course. I've been participating in Landmark since I was 25 years old. And that was one of the things that actually had me take responsibility for my own life. That's when I realized, like, oh, there's this word integrity, and it's not like a you know, it's not a morality thing. Integrity is just doing what you say when you say you're going to do it, right? Do what you say when you say you're going to do it. If you got people that you're leading or you're bringing them to the organization, they're looking up to you for leadership, and you're being tested every single time. So we got to continue to rise. We got to continue to evolve. We got to continue to grow, and you got to execute on what you say you're going to do, right? You got to go first.
I love that. So have your follow-up be like a heat-seeking missile. That's the visual that I had, you know, after seeing Top Gun, when they get it and it's locked in, it's like inevitable, right? That's how you treat your follow-up. Huge takeaway. And then having your whatever happens or does not happen, taking 100% responsibility for that. And then always looking for how you're going to grow and improve to keep growing, because your business will never outpace where you have grown personally. If it does, you will sabotage it and it will erode. That's the bottom line. So thank you so much for those nuggets, Leo. Really, really appreciate it. You referenced another leader within your organization, which is who we're gonna hear from next. And you know, as we go into this piece of the conversation, early, you know, he'd been with EXP for a bit by the time that I met him, and the context for that I met him was that he was serious in wanting a system to grow, build, and scale, and that he was committed to going out and executing that. As I learned more about him and his background, I was like, wow, that dude is cool, calm, and collected. However, at any moment, if there was anything going down, I would want him there, because I know that everything would be okay based on his experience and what he's done, you know, previously with working with our government. So without further ado, we're going to bring Joseph Trujillo onto the call. Here's what I love about Joseph is that while having a full-time career elsewhere, he has built a real estate sales team and was actively building the business. And he recognized when the vision for his life and his business, he had outgrown the place that he was at. And so he was willing to make a change. So many people are not willing to make a change, even when they know that their vision has outgrown where they currently sit. And so he is somebody that ripped the Band-Aid off, was willing to make the change, and then willing to be a beginner. I would say this about Joseph. It's one of the most beautiful things about him. For as much as he knows that he does not know everything. So he is willing to be a beginner and be open to learning and executing and things that he does not yet know that he does not know. And that is the earmark of, and from my perspective, one of the earmarks of an incredible leader is to stay learning based and stay open. And so, Joseph, I know that you currently, you know, through the course of being with EXP, have over 700 agents that have joined your organization. You're an incredible leader within Leo's organization, which is part of, you know, Rosie's organization, which is also part of our organization. I'm super grateful for how my life has improved by watching you, quite honestly, and how you conduct yourself and how you put yourself out there and how you choose to navigate problems and be solution oriented and committed to drama free and always about how do we grow and how do we get into solution and how do we keep moving forward. So Joseph, I know you bring some unique experience from the structure of your previous career, and you've brought that and taken those skills into building your real estate sales business, as well as now your EXP organization. And I know you've got a really big vision. For those of you that may be meeting Joseph for the first time, he is Dream Chasers is his brand, and everything about his messaging and what he's doing with people anchors that brand, because it's not just about the chasing of the dream, it's the realization, the achieving, and then making that dream bigger and getting to the next one. I can consistently say that about you on your journey here, and would love to hear from you, kind of just as you put all the pieces and parts to the conversation of what we've had today, your thoughts and perspectives I so value, and I know there'll be some great nuggets here for as you share with those that are here with open notebooks and pens ready to learn.
I love that. Thank you so much, Casey, for that introduction. I'm all blushing, you know, so, but yeah, exactly. You know, I'm naturally this tone, but you know, I would really love to lead with, you know, first acknowledging everybody being on this call, and then just the amazing alignment and leadership that we have One skill set coming into real estate, and again, I've been in real estate, 5 years, 3 years with EXP, and really only full-time at EXP for the last year and a half. And so coming into real estate, one thing that I had learned through life experience in my previous career was, and this kind of aligns with the certainty conversation, is that everything that we do in life has to do with persuasion. The power of persuasion in sales, the power of persuasion in attraction, the power of persuasion just to get somebody to do what you would like for them to do is probably, I would argue, probably the strongest skill set that you can apply in your business. And so not having been in real estate, 15 and 20 years, I kind of came into this in an organic manner where, as I wrote my list of 100 people to contact, I literally had 20 people. Right? I didn't have people that were following me on social media or on Facebook, and I had to find a way on how to connect with the masses. And the tips that I would love to share with you today is how to create a persuasive approach through a social media strategy, if I could. And I'll give you guys a couple quick tips on what I've done and what many of the other leaders in my organization are doing in order to create this way to create deposits in the community, in the real estate community, where people are going to be drawn to you, and that ability to draw them into an initial conversation can lead to all the fundamentals that we're teaching here, right? Third-party validation calls, inviting them to events, and creating these building blocks where you can do essentially what many of us are doing, and inviting like the best people to the conversation in the industry. So one way that we have done, and again, like many of the leaders on this call are really skillful and masterful at, is that we started creating social media content that not only provides value, but that initiates a conversation. Okay. And what I mean by that is, if you follow me on social media, if you don't follow me, Will, or anybody with, or even Leo, we have great examples of this. We're creating like video content. We're always reposting, event content. And what this does is it enhances and it lets your followers know, okay, this guy's serious about this. Maybe there's something there. It almost creates a validation without having to say it yourself, right? So that is one, is take a look at the kind of content that, some of the greats are putting out, and copy that, right? We always say the saying, right? It's okay to copy somebody as long as you're copying the right cat. Okay. And so the second part that I would encourage you guys all to do is use professional and amazing imagery. Okay. Go the extra mile. Take video content from, previous events. Like there's some great VAs out there that can make some masterful content for you to put out. And as you're putting that out, again, you're validating not only your belief system in what you're trying to attract, but you're also making these deposits in the most influential people out there. Thirdly, and probably most importantly, is you have to apply your story to it. Okay. You have to have a personal story that aligns with what you're trying to persuade. Okay. And the way I've done that, and it's my unique approach, and we all have unique approaches, is just simply, applying my background, my life lessons, my failures to the conversation. Okay. So you may see me have a vulnerable moment like on Instagram stories, or, take highlighted clips of opportunities that I've had to talk. And I'd like to think that there's been some influence there in what I've done is being replicated throughout, the organization or throughout a lot of these leaders. And then they're like Will's masterful at it. He'll take it, and he's taking it and he applies, the Will approach to it. And this dude's on like fire beyond belief right now. Right. But we've enhanced all the stuff that Leo and Rosie and Casey that we talk about is accountability. Like we talk every morning at 7 o'clock, like without, skipping a heartbeat. We have like mini accountability conversations. We have the wealth chart that we share with each other. Like all of these fundamentals are fantastic, but you can layer it with a social approach. you can layer it with other strategies that are going to enable you to soften the initial conversation. And then once you have that initial conversation, then the power of persuasion can come in, and then you can invite them to the third-party validation call, to, you know, upcoming events. The strategy I'm telling you right now, team, I mean, I literally have a broker coming over with 200 agents to build. A broker owner in Atlanta, Georgia with 15 agents and connections in South Africa to build. 4 top producers coming to build. These are personals. And if Will shared with you and other team leaders on this call shared with you, Cindy in Oklahoma, what they're bringing, it's because we've created a duplicatable process. We've stayed in conversations with our teams, and we're just punching the clock as often as we can.
I love that. So, you know, a couple of key takeaways from what you shared, taking your vision and your purpose and communicating that in engaging ways where your masses of eyeballs are going to see it on a regular basis, and doing that at a high level with a professional approach and being intentional about it. So thank you so much for sharing, you know, those specifics. And again, love the leading by example. Like, you're personally building, you're personally recruiting, you're just, you know, saying as a result of your own efforts, people that you are personally sponsoring. The speed of a leader dictates the speed of the organization. And as we wrap up today's call, because we're at the top of the hour, one of the people that you're going to hear from in 2 weeks is someone that has been with us just close to a year, has over 100 agents in his organization. And that is about to take a quantum jump. There are some very specific things that he's done to grow. No background in building or recruiting prior to being with EXP. And so commit to being on the call in 2 weeks. What is there to do on the other side of this call? The replay will be posted in Empire Builders Pro. Get it out to your people, re-listen to it, grab the nuggets in case you missed them. Selena, thank you for taking notes in the bottom. For those of you that are committed to growing and building, get belly to belly, lock arms with your leaders, talk to them every day, have the strategies in place. Who's going to be most certain? Who's going to be most clear in executing? What is your vision? What's your commitment? What's your goal? And number of new people that will be attending Dallas with you, and getting them through that validation process and meeting as many people in the community in 3-way calls beforehand to anchor the decision and the commitment to be there. Scott, you brought up someone who's like, hey, I don't do the Tony Robbins rah-rah. Well, clearly you don't understand Tony Robbins. At the level of your energy and vibration will dictate the level of the business that you create and the life that you're living. And you obviously don't understand that, which is probably why you don't have the results that you want. So what if you came and learned how to change your state and the impact that that would have on your mindset, your fulfillment, your business, and your personal life? Oh, by the way, Tony Robbins is the cherry on top. The bulk of the event is going to be real estate agents selling real estate and building organizations within EXP that are the top of the top and newer and seasoned that are crushing it. So looking forward to seeing you all in a couple of weeks. Thank you for who you are. Again, Rosie, Joseph, Leo, for your contributions, and really excited to be in a more consistent conversation with everyone committed to growing. We will be bringing up more of those challenging, uncomfortable questions, because there's a lot of things that happen that you're going to continue to navigate through as you grow and achieve your dreams and your vision. So we'll sign off for now. Appreciate and love you all. Thanks so much.